The end of the year has come and the new year has started. We are in 2025, everyone. And I want to talk to you about what we saw at the end of 2024. We're going to talk today about resale of existing homes, not new construction. This is just existing home, single family residences, okay? According to National Association of Realtors, we actually were up in December. Now, December is normally like a month for us, right? As real estate agents, it is slow, quiet, terrible, sometimes terrifying. Are we going to get a paycheck? Are we not going to get a paycheck? It's a little bit edgy and worrisome. But this past December, we were busy. So up 2.2% nationally is actually pretty good. That is the strongest since February of 2024. February, right? February is spring market, if you guys don't know that. Like, the butterflies are out, the bees are buzzing, and the flowers are blooming. That is our strongest market. That's the beginning of spring for real estate agents. So when you look at the sales numbers of 4.24 million sales in December, and February we had 4.38 million. That's pretty close actually, which is shocking to me that we did so well. But that's the good news. So sales grew 9.3% over December of 2023. So the year-over-year growth that we had from December 2023 into December of 2024, we haven't had that happen since June of 2021. During the height of COVID chaos, when everybody was buying houses, people were buying houses sight unseen. People were buying houses without repairs. People were going $50,000 and $100,000 over asking. It was chaos, right? So to see that kind of growth in December is pretty good. It speaks pretty well to the market starting to uptick a little bit. So I know for a fact you guys have all been out there looking at price drop, price drop, price drop, price drop, price drop, and you're like, yep, market's tanking. This is it. This is the big one. When I look at those numbers, I'm looking at what did we price-wise look like year over year. So our prices grew 6% year over year, and that's a gain for 18 consecutive months. Meaning each month we had a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more gain for 18 months straight. So when you see that 18 months of growth, continuous gain, I mean, that's fantastic. That's like getting a raise every single month, right? Think about that. If I gave you a raise every single month for 18 months, you'd be pretty happy. Yeah. So that's exactly what I'm seeing. So what does that mean for like year over year growth? Comparatively speaking, you know, when we look at 2024, did we grow at all? Did we grow not at all? What happened? How did it look? We had the biggest year over year growth since October of 2022. We're up 6.5% in October of 2022. We're up 6% year over year now. That is absolutely fantastic news. 2020, 2021, 2022, a lot of us can argue that while the market may have been chaotic, it was also doing very, very well. If you sold a house during this time, you cashed in. Like, it was very difficult to be underwater in your mortgage. So a lot of people were cashing in that equity and doing other things with it. We've talked about that on other videos. I'm not going to go into it today. Even with that fourth quarter upturn that we had, that last 3 months, October, November, December, we were kind of like ticking away, going up, having some good numbers, beating our year over year numbers. Overall, when you look at the entire year of 2024, we had the lowest existing home sales in 30 years. So what does that mean? Because that sucks, right? Everybody was like, the market's crashing, it's going downhill. This is very common during election years. So first, I want you to be aware of that. Very common. People get nervous. No matter what side of the fence you're on, it doesn't matter. That's not what this is about. What I'm trying to say is there's that tension building. There's that unsureness of what's going to happen next year, what's going to happen in the next 4 years, where should I put my money? So people tend to wait and they tend to hold off, which is totally natural. When that happens in these election years, we see a big slowdown. And I can tell you that Jeff and I, as you guys know, we all went to Alaska in June. and very beginning of June. We were so busy until we left in May. And then June and July were very quiet for us. And then August was, not as busy as we have been. And then September, things started turning around and, okay, we're gonna kind of, people that need to buy, that are waiting for a job, or they're downsizing because of a family situation. We've had some divorce situations. We've had some cases of we've outgrown our house, we've had a baby, or we're adopting and we just need more room. They were having a life situation change. They needed to make a move regardless. But when you look at just overall people, we were seeing a lot of people hold back. Plus, on top of that, remember, we're talking about existing homes right now, not new construction. And new construction was offering incentives and deals on interest rates. So you could sometimes get like 5.5% or 5%, or sometimes 4.75%. And you could also get $5,000, $10,000, or $20,000 in closing costs, depending on the builder. People were going that direction because of the rising interest rates in the mortgage world. So when that happens, existing home sales fall. So that's understandable. So I don't think it's necessarily the market falling as it is. And when we look at that record low existing sales number, I look at the entire picture, because those interest rates and new construction having options really changed the path that people were going and put them in a position to buy a house that just had that as an option. So what do you think? Drop me a comment below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. We had very few existing home sales. Even people that came to us like, we don't care, we'll buy either way, many of them ended up going the direction of new construction. So that just shows you kind of where people's heads were at and what they were doing. So when we look at existing numbers, of course, they're gonna be down. So what does that mean then? Let's talk about inventory, because inventory shortage has been something we've talked about on this channel a ton. Like, there is just a big shortage out there. There's not enough homes. People are buying them fast. Builders can't keep up with demand. I mean, it's chaos when it comes to that. So inventory was down 13.5%, 1.15 million houses that are not on the market, that would have normally been on the market. What does that even mean, right? Inventory's low. Okay, April, yeah, I get what you're saying. The good options that do hit the market, they tend to go pretty quickly. What that means is we will sell out of the homes we have in 3.3 months. Obviously, that's not going to be the case, where no houses are going to come on the market. But I want you to understand regular terms. What does this actually mean? Well, that's what it means. I know exactly what you're thinking right now. April, you're telling me we have a shortage, but we have 3 months. It would take us 3 months to sell everything. And of course, other houses are going to come on the market. So why are you telling me there's a shortage? It's a shortage of existing homes. There's not enough houses for people to choose from. So let's talk about why I say it's a shortage. I have 59,999 buyers. There's going to be, well, I don't like that house. Well, I don't like that house. It's not like I assign people to houses, right? Oh, here, you get 123 Main Street, you get ABC Banana Street, you get 123 Like, no, that's not how it works. So thankfully, we get to choose our homes. I will take somebody to a home and they'll say, ew, or there's not enough storage space. That's a big one. Or I want outdoor living. Or I need a fenced yard, I have animals. Or I want an open concept and this is an older home, so it's separated by rooms, right? There's a lot of reasons why people don't like homes. A home might have been built in 1950, but it hasn't been updated at all since then. They feel like it's dark and they feel like it's, feels old and it doesn't feel fresh and new and clean. And unfortunately, not everybody is willing to come in and do that work. So condition becomes a problem. I can take you into a brand new home, everything's shiny and new and pretty, and we can see it staged and you're feeling that emotional pull for it. That's great, but I'm not gonna be able to do that in every single house, right? Not every house presents that way. So sometimes it's condition overall, but sometimes it's also our expectations of condition. It is an existing home. Somebody has lived in it before. So because of that, it's used. Just like if you bought a used car. You know, I love this car, it's amazing, but it has fabric seats and I'd rather have leather. Okay, well, you're gonna give up the car because it has fabric seats? Maybe, depends on how important leather seats are to you. Or maybe it has leather seats, but it's got a little tiny cigarette burn in the back seat, but the car doesn't smell like smoke. So how important is that little tiny mark to you? It depends. I can't answer that question. Only you can. So when we talk about condition, we also have to consider price. Because in the right condition, right, I'll buy a house that's less expensive, fix it up myself, and enjoy that equity that, you know, I call it elbow equity, but like that scrubbing elbow grease that I've put into it, that's mine now. What that home is worth, that's mine now. I'm happy to do that. Now I could sell my house for more than I bought it for, and I feel good about that. Price, though, does become a factor when you start talking about affordability. I had a lady that I spoke to who said, look, I need a 4-bedroom house. And she gave me the area she wanted to live in. And I told her that was going to be very difficult. I said, how would you feel about a 3-bedroom home with a bonus room that you could use as a 4th bedroom? And she said, no, it must be 4 bedrooms. Prefer to have a bonus room also. So the reality was that in the area she was looking, that home was actually closer to $475. So affordability becomes a factor for what she wants. So we had a conversation. I showed her a couple homes that met her criteria. She started to understand what the market was doing and what she could get in that area. So what we ended up doing was looking just outside that area, barely, where she's still in the school district, but she's not right in the heart of town. And we were able to find her a 3-bedroom with a bonus room. So it worked for her for what she needed to get into the price she needed, because that price was that important. I've been on the other side of that equation where I'd like to spend $350. I need a 4-bedroom with a bonus. I show you what's out there, and this really isn't what I want, and I can afford to go to $475. So I see now the need to go to $475 in order to get what I want. Those are just examples that we have, but price versus affordability is very much a question right now. As these home prices are driving so high, can people afford them? All right, so then next, we have to talk about interest rates, because that's a huge, huge impacting factor, right? I talked to a young lady yesterday, and I was talking with, she's renting a house, and I said, oh, okay, well, are you gonna be living in the area for long? Or are you just moving into the area, checking it out? And she said, we actually wanted to purchase, but interest rates got too high for us to get what we wanted. So our payment went over where we were comfortable with. She had a set payment in mind. She didn't want to spend more than $2,500 a month. And we were looking at more like $3,000 a month. Okay, so then options are like a savings account or a 401k you could pull from to make part of that down payment larger so that you can maybe lower your payment. Could you look at new construction and see if there are any incentives or deals happening that could meet those needs? Or do you need to wait a year, right, while you save additional money? I'll tell you this, I've had people say, I need to wait a year while I save extra money. I understand that. I really do, because I've been in that position where I'm like, look, I don't have a penny to my name. I can barely pay my bills, let alone go ahead and have a down payment for a house. And I've always felt like it was unattainable. It's not. Give me a call. Do you qualify for down payment assistance? That might be an option. We put you in front of a mortgage professional who can answer that question. The next thought is, while you're saving, let's talk about that 1 year. Now, I just told you that in 2024, our year-over-year growth was 6%. If everything stays exactly the same as it is this year, that house that you wanted then is going to be $12,000 more than it is right now. So people think, okay, $12,000 isn't that bad. Yeah, but you also aren't buying a house for $200,000 very often anymore. You know, you're probably looking at $300,000. Now we're talking about $18,000 or $400,000, and now we're talking about $24,000. So it does make a difference in your price, and it can escalate very quickly. So like she's looking at a $450,000 home. That's like a $27,000 difference in price because she waited a year. So that $24,000, and it may be worth looking into down payment assistance. It may be worth looking at 401k and seeing if there's an option there. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, so you definitely need to talk to the professionals about what you're doing with your money and where you're putting it. But I will say that that home price is not gonna tank and go down. Even this year when everybody has thought it's tanking, it's actually not when you look at the numbers. So if it's continuing to grow when everybody thinks it's horrible, what's gonna happen in a year or 2 years or 3 years? I talked to a guy yesterday, haven't talked to him in 4 years, and he just happened to be on the website. I reached out to him just to say hi, just to touch base, and said, so what's going on? Like, did you ever buy a house? And he said, no, I'm still renting. That's 100% interest. You're paying 100% interest when you're renting. So I'd much rather pay 6 or 7% interest, but when you're paying a landlord, you don't get any of that money back. So think about that. I'm gonna leave you with that thought. So the national update, this is a national update, kind of gives you an overall look at how we're doing in that industry. A couple of things you can consider with some of these older homes that are sitting on the market that need a refresh, that have green carpet, that have paneling walls. There are loans, like renovation loans and FHA 203Ks that you can get into to renovate those properties and, you know, clean them up and put in new countertops and paint things. Now there's restrictions, there's limits, and you can't do all the work yourself, but a mortgage professional is where you need to start with that. Of course, you guys know we work with Dana a lot at Gateway Mortgage. We work with Thomas over at One Real Mortgage. We have had some great success with people in the mortgage industry. So if you get yourself some great equity and also get yourself a house that feels like it's brand new. So give us a call, check us out anytime. We'd love to hear from you. Call or text me. Talk to you soon.